Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Aloha. Happy Sunday, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well on this fine, bright, shiny summer day. We're doing all right. We're not we're not supposed to. It's going to be hot. Let's just call it like it is. It's going to be 93 this afternoon, but the humidity's coming down, so we're going to be doing just fine. I know some of y'all are sweltering back east, and it's 8th Center. Well, come on, show it now. There it is. I'll sit back, shut up, and wait for the This Is Sparta references to start flowing. You know what? You are the first. That's the first This Is Sparta 300. Get it, y'all? Come on. Stay awake. Follow me here. That's the first reference. And no, I wasn't going to do anything like that. And in fact, I wasn't even going to do anything special for episode 300 because to me, it's another live stream. But we're going to talk about that pretty quick. First, speaking of sticking with it, I want to say howdy to my friend Steve and tell you about Harneal Media. Y'all think this live stream is something? Steve has been with me from day one, or I've been with Steve from day one. However you want to put it. My point in all this is Steve's in it for the long haul, same as everybody else is. We go way back to when all this was green fields and there was nothing but a pile of rubble back here. And now I've got a shop, which some would argue is another form of a pile of rubble, but we'll work with it. If you're even thinking about a website, you're just kind of maybe it's popping into your brain, wonder if I should get a website. The answer is yes, you should. And the only person that I'm going to recommend for said website is Steve over at Harneal Media. Steve, as I said, we've been together since day one. And in fact, he's the one that talked me into a website, and he sponsors Mark Lindsay CNC.com. And I've had nothing but good results with Steve. There have been some minor hiccups along the way, not of his or my making. Servers going down way back in the background. I had to switch hosts and a couple of other things because of stuff that they were doing back in the server business. But Steve has stuck with me the entire time. Downtime has been kept to a minimum through all disasters, man made or not. And that's the kind of service that he gives each and every one of his clients. He's going to be there with you for the long haul. This is not a short term thing for Steve. So if you're thinking about a web store, maybe you want to offer your products and services to the public at large without listing them on a third party site that's going to take a 30% commission, charge you a listing fee to even put it up on said site, and then advertise your competition right alongside of your products. Then maybe it's time to look into a website. Also, if you're thinking about getting involved in some of these affiliate programs that various merchants have set up, most of them will require you to have a website that stays updated and shows a little bit of traffic flow so that they're sure to get the best out of their investment in you. Well, there's no better way to get it than get all that accomplished with your own website. Steve can hook you up with a print on demand company that can handle merch. We're talking T-shirts, baseball caps, coffee mugs, mouse pads. I mean, anything you can think of that you can put your logo on, just about. This print on demand company can handle it. They take care of shipping. They take care of collecting taxes. They take care of all the logistics. They have um, warehouses all over the world, so they ship worldwide. I mean, you wonder how he gets away with doing all this stuff so cheaply. So do yourself a favor. If you're in your business for the long haul, get over to harnealmedia.com, click that contact us link, and shoot Steve a message. He'll talk with you. He'll do as much or as little as you want him to do. He can hang in the background and just take care of updates if you know what you're talking about and know what you're doing with a website. Or if you're like me and have no clue, he'll take care of the front end as well. So do yourself a favor. There's a link to Harneal Media in every video and live stream on this channel, and it's that way for a reason. Thanks for hanging with me for so long, Steve. Sorry to be such a thorn in your side, but do know that I appreciate everything you do for me, more than you'll ever know. Ah, man, here we go. Um, Milestones. What can you say? Um, I hadn't planned on doing anything special for this. I really hadn't. Um, uh, Thank you, Steve. I surely appreciate that. I surely appreciate that. Um, I hadn't planned on doing anything special, but in chatting with my channel members, they're like, "Oh, wait a minute. No, you got to do something. So just talk about your history, talk about your journey and how you got involved in all this because 300 is a big number." And whoa, Maurice, you are a gentleman and a scholar, my friend. Thank you so much. It says, congrats on number 300. Thank you for all you do for this community. And get some bits on me. Will do, my friend. And I'll send you pictures because I understand internet law number one. Pics or it didn't happen. Yeah, I'll do that. Um, so in talking with my channel members, they said, let's get little bit into your history and, how you got going and all this. And I'll just give you the stats. The only notes I wrote down are just the stats. Live Q&A number 1 was August 18th, 2019. So Kurt at Crafty Jans LLC said, that's right about 6 years. Yes, August 18th is the 6th birthday. I've missed a few along the way, either because of travel or Linda and I both came down with COVID, and I had a couple of other illnesses or what have you. But yeah, that's right at 6 years. And in those 6 years, I have done a total of 475 live streams on this channel. 300 obvious are Sunday live Q&As, 160 members only live streams over the last 3 years, and 15 live streams that I'll put in the other category. Like I just jumped on here live while I was machining something, or I went live to announce something coming up. I went live one time to talk about my trip to the woodworking show in August of 2017. Things of that nature, just other live streams. Well, in doing that, and going back and looking at these stats, it made me think of why I'm here, how I got to 300, and why I keep doing what I do. And I owe it all to a bunch of people who helped me out. But first and foremost, I owe it to Dave Gatton. He is the one who got me started in CNC to begin with. And it was, in a roundabout way, his idea to start doing live streams on Sunday. I was still in that mentality where I had to put up a video a week and I had to keep pushing and I had to keep the videos coming. And I was working it pretty good. And one Sunday, things conspired against me, and I decided to do a live stream instead of a video because I didn't have a video to put out. And we were chatting on Facebook, and he said, "Oh, you're doing a live stream after your video?" And I said, "No, I'm doing a live stream instead of a video." And he said, "Oh, I thought maybe you were putting out a video, then doing a live stream to talk about that video later on." No, no, no. And then I thought, well, you know what? That's a good idea. So I asked him, "Can I steal that?" He said, "Yeah, yeah." So I ran with it. Um, and the rest, as they say, is more or less history on the live stream front. Um, Folks ask me why I do the live streams, and I'll just say it like it is. It's fun. I have an absolute blast with you guys, hooting and hollering in the chat and doing whatever, trying to answer questions and help folks get the information that they want if I have an answer. You have to remember, I don't know is a legitimate answer. So, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to try to tell you something when I don't know. There's a lot of bad information out on the internet, and I don't want to add to it. And I certainly don't want to tell you something that's going to damage your machine or ruin an expensive piece of material. I I do have to look at myself in the mirror, and I do want to sleep at night. So, 8 Center says, "I imagine it's helped you learn some stuff too, more than I can quantify, more than I can count, because you folks come up with great questions." And I'm that kind of person. Somebody will ask me something, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Now I got to go look it up because it's going to bug me to not find out. So you have pushed me to get better and learn more, and I appreciate that. Um, as far as history and how this all came about, I I signed up for YouTube in 2010. But we still, believe it or not, 2010, I lived in a little, we lived in a little podunk town in Nevada, a wide spot on Highway 50, the loneliest road in America. Just a wide spot in the road that nobody's ever heard of in the middle of the desert. We still had dial up, and we didn't get broadband until 2011, November of 2011. I remember it because I was anxious for it. I couldn't wait. And it was 8 meg service, which was huge at the time for us, especially coming from dial up. So, it's crazy that way. I couldn't even spell CNC. I didn't know anything about it. Um, I had no doubt. I had seen a guy. I know his first name was Daniel. I can't remember his last name, to save me, and I apologize for that. He eventually went on to call his company Build Your CNC. And that's literally what he did. He built a CNC router out of MDF in his bathroom in an upstairs apartment. And I followed his journey in building his machine kind of in the background, watching his videos and following his website. And I just remembered his name. I made a serious mistake. His name is Patrick Hood Daniel. Well, anyway, he built this CNC router in his bathroom because that was the only room he could seal up. And he used a router to cut each piece of MDF. Imagine carving MDF in your bathroom. He did it. So I was fascinated by that. And I had no doubt in my mind that I could build the structure of a CNC router, but I'm useless when it comes to electronics. So that kind of went out the window. At that time, I was also involved in a lot of uh, camp trailer forums, message forums. I'm talking about pop up tent trailers, travel trailers, teardrop trailers, things of that nature. I was also involved in a lot of guitar building forums, cigar box guitar building forums. You know, Gibson Les Paul style guitars, Fender Stratocaster style guitars, things of that nature. And something I noticed being in all of these forums was a lot of the same questions kept coming up. And when it got to the point to where I had broadband, I thought it was easier to do a short video answering the question. And then when that question came up again, I could just link a video. So if you go back, way back to the beginning of my channel, you'll see some oddball questions and you're wondering, where did this come from? Those were direct answers to questions on various message forums. Now, a lot of those forums went away. So those videos got taken down years ago. I took them down years ago. I finally, whoa, folks from Vistascope, hello. Thank you for the very, very cool software. Thank you. I love it. And I'm going to be doing some videos about it real soon. Um, so that's my kind of my YouTube history. My woodworking history goes back to when I was 7 years old with my grandfather. He was a carpenter, and he got me into woodworking. And in fact, um, I still have the very first project he and I built together. It's here in my shop. It's one of those library chairs. You fold it one way, it's a chair. You fold the back over the other way, it's a step ladder. And it's right here. I can't pick it up because there's a bunch of stuff on it. But anyhow, um, he got me into that. And he and I built that together. He did all the cutting on his table saw. And I drove probably, just shy of a pound of nails more than I needed to drive into it. But I was 7 years old. I've been working with wood in one form or another ever since, both as a hobby and professionally. And it all kind of culminated into this journey. And it was Dave Gatton in 2015 who introduced me to the idea of, at that time, it was the Xylatex drive box. And it was a fully self-contained drive box, just as I described it. It had everything all built in. It had the uh, the drivers. It had the power supplies. It had everything involved, all in one little box, and it was 100% plug and play. Now I use past tense because Jeff over at Xylatex, eventually he had supply problems, same as the rest of us during that time that you know what I mean. And he could no longer get the motors, he could no longer get a bunch of various components. He just kind of closed down. But it was Dave Gatton who introduced me to that drive box, which means I didn't have to worry about electronics. It was all one self-contained unit 100% plug and play. And I mean that. Mount the motors, plug in the correct cables, and you're off and running. He also, about that time, introduced a series on his YouTube channel, and I'll put a link down in the description. I don't have one there now, but I will. Um, he introduced a series called um, Building a CNC Router on a Shoestring Budget. And he released plans for that, which are no longer available, by the way. The plans are no longer available. Um, and if I wasn't the first to order those plans when he released them, I was within the I was in the top 5. And I built that CNC router. In fact, I built it twice. I built it once using my table saw, bandsaw that I broke while building it, and my drill press and all that other good stuff. Thank you very much, Steve, for posting that. And I will link Dave in the description below as soon as we're done live here. Um, okay. 8 Center is asking, what was the first CNC project on that? Was the second version of that same CNC router. Because as I said, he released the plans in DXF format. I went down to a local print shop that could do large format printing. And they printed up those DXF plans on 2-foot tall, well, 2-foot by 3-foot paper, which I stuck down to El Cheapo maple plywood, and I cut it out with bandsaw or table saw or whatever. My tolerances weren't great. I got as close as I could, obviously, but still, handmade is not machine made. So the very first thing I did with that CNC router was I loaded those DXF files into VCarve Pro version 8.0. I bought 8.0 when it came out. And in 8.0, loaded all of the files, and I cut a brand new gantry for it. Most of it was the gantry. The bed I cut out fine. I cut that out on the table saw, and it was good. Then I painted the heck out of that to keep it from molding in this damp environment here. And then I went on with that one. I built, you have to, I think. If you use Vectric Software, you have to make a Paradise box. Well, I made 2 of them, and I gave them to my granddaughters Christmas of 2015. And it just kind of went up from there. Sargon, Tavur, you, sir, are a prince among men. Sargon is easily the most generous man I have met through this channel, a huge channel supporter, and just an all around very good person. And I've been blessed to meet him. Thank you so much, Sargon, for your support throughout all of this. I mean, I've been more than blessed to have met this man, and I appreciate you, Sargon, more than you'll ever know. Thank you. So I appeared a few times on Dave's live streams when I went to that woodworking show in 2017. Dave was generous and allowed me to stay there with him at his house because he lives, not too far from Atlanta where this woodworking show was. And I went there, had an absolute blast with him and Melinda, and I mean, met everybody who was there, and just basically had a fantastic time. And it was Dave who taught me more than any other single person. about CNC, about VCarve Pro, about Mach 3, and I rode his coattails proudly for many, many, many years, and I still owe him a major debt of gratitude that I will never be able to repay. So thank you, Dave Gatton. As I joke with him, I tell him I'm 100% your fault. You know, you're the reason I'm here. Well, he was. Oh wow, you guys. Thank you very much. Uh, I more than appreciate the super chats and the super thanks, and totally unnecessary. But thank you very much, Alan. I mean, come on, thank you. Um, so that got me going. That got me started. Now, along the way, um, I was still building that first CNC router. Well, I was done with that first CNC router. And Dave started a Facebook group and of people who were building the same CNC router. Then he introduced the Gatton CNC, and um, uh, more people started getting involved in that. And much like with the guitar forums and the travel trailer and camper forums, people started asking questions about this, that, and the other. And the same questions kept coming up. And so I, resorted to type and went back to the old days. I would just make videos that were direct answers to those questions. And it it kind of snowballed from there because again, it's easier to make a video than when that question is asked, post a link to that video and say, I explained it all right here. That turned into being asked if I would do a series of videos for people who had never done this kind of thing before. Now, keep in mind, I was still learning at the time, so my knowledge was very limited. But as things got going, I decided, okay, it was, in fact, that it was after that trip to Atlanta where it seemed like all of the big YouTubers were there. I mean, Jimmy DiResta was there, Izzy Swan was there, Carl Jacobson was there, Dave Gatton was there, Sterling Davis. I mean, a whole slew of YouTubers were there. And I got to talk to a whole bunch of people and network with folks that, I mean, we're talking the big time. Jimmy DiResta, are you kidding me? And me sitting there with, 100 subscribers, you bet I'm going to go up and talk to him. So, I mean, I absorbed information like a sponge. And I finally decided to start that um, Vectric Software for the Absolute Beginner series. And I go back and I watch them, and it's a cringe fest, man, because I used to do this big disclaimer at the very beginning that, I am not a Vectric employee. I am not sponsored or endorsed by Vectric in any way. Um, I'm just a person who uses their software. And a couple of videos, I said, they don't even know I exist. Then I got an email that said, yeah, we know you exist. And I was like, oh, well, I better straighten up and fly right if they're watching. You don't realize how many filters you use in your dialogue until the company you've just been doing these goofy tutorials for. Um, when they start paying attention, you're like, oh man, wait a minute. Okay, I better be good. And I dropped that disclaimer. Um, Between you and me, it scared me to death because I say it and I mean it. I'm just some dude in a shed. There is nothing special about me, believe me. But to have the company acknowledge, yeah, we know you're there and we're watching, it was like, okay. Uh-huh. It did level up my game big time because I was scared to death. They could just as easy say, okay, stop it. You know, I didn't want to step on toes. But then it came, I kind of thought about it and I thought, well, you know what? They have to cater to every skill level. They can't take the time to go into detail like I do. And this is just the way I learn. People complain about the length of my videos, and I get it. I understand. Most people watch my videos at 1.5 times speed. So I don't quite sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks, but close to it. But it just speeds up the video, turn a 30-minute video into a 20-minute video. I get it. I understand. And in fact, the internet joke now is if you want to learn how to do something, go to Kyle Ely's channel. If you want to learn why you do it, come to my channel. So, I can take the time. Vectric can't take the time to explain in detail. Kyle Ely can't take the time. Garrett Fromme can't take the time. I can. I got nothing but time. I'm retired. I don't want a job. So right about that time in the early stages, just before I started the Vectric for Absolute Beginner series, I started email correspondence with a guy who lives about 90 to 100 miles away from me. So just far enough away that I couldn't go visit. And this man was frustrated. He was frustrated big time. I'm trying to help him through using the software, both VCarve Pro and Mach 3. And I don't remember what brand of machine he had. I really don't. This has been a few years back, 2016, 2017 timeframe. And he got to the point to where he had a desktop machine. He literally shoved it off of the table that it was on into his wheelbarrow, and he took it outside and dumped it on a burn pile. Luckily, it wasn't lit yet, but he had had enough. Well, I talked him into going and getting it, bringing it back in, cleaning it up, and at least selling it to somebody who would use it. He calmed down and he did that. He sold it for a criminally low price, but he decided this wasn't for him. He was going back to hand turning on a lathe. And so I said there to myself, there is absolutely no reason why this man can't get it. He was trying to dive in the deep end head first and got over his head real fast and was frustrated that he couldn't do everything at once. And I kind of felt like everybody's heard the story of the little Dutch boy who put his finger in the dike and saved the town. I felt like I had my finger in one hole and was trying to get 13 others and only had two hands talking with this gentleman. So what I did was I sat down and I come up with a mission. And this is the mission I still have to this day. And that mission is to prove to you, the viewer, that you can do this. If you're willing to sit down with the software and just use it, practice it, you can do this. There is nothing magic. There is nothing secret. There is nothing mystical about it. If you want to do this, you can do this. It's not over your head. It looks intimidating as heck the first time you open up the program because you're not used to it. But once you get used to it and the light bulb starts going off, it does get better. So to this day, that's my message. I'm not the best. I'm not the fastest. I'm not the most artistic. There are millions of people worldwide that can run circles around me with this software. The major difference is I am not afraid to make mistakes in public. Um, I'm not afraid to let you see my mistakes, my foibles, my problems. In some ways, I hope the way I recover from those mistakes helps you out. And it also lets you know that I don't care how long you've been doing this, you are going to make mistakes. They are going to happen. And I just saw a question here. Um, have you ever, at one time or another, gotten to where you wanted to give up on the CNC world? No, not once. If so, what drove you forward to march on? Um, I've never wanted to give up on the CNC world. And what still drives me forward and makes me want to march on is the people I've met. You folks, the viewers. Um, I have been blessed to meet some fantastic people in this community. Um, there are so many truly generous people out there, and generous with, I'm not talking monetarily. I'm talking about generous with their time, generous with their knowledge. I would not be in this position without Dave Gatton, without Bill Griggs, who was my other mentor, personal mentor. Bill, I mean, we went so far, we spent hours on the phone when I bought his triple edge finder to set X, Y, and Z zero and not need to rely on that little piece of paper. Something that was repeatable. If the power went out, I can come back and get my X, Y, and Z zero. And in fact, I posted a video on that because I was running my machine and blew the breaker. And I showed how to recover from that. But Dave Gatton, Bill Griggs, Peter Pasuelo over at CNC Nuts, his YouTube channel. And in fact, Peter Pasuelo is the link to his channel is permanently linked down in the description of this video, along with Michael Mazalik and Lainey Shaughnessy, because I refer to them so many times. Um, those were my mentors. Those were the people who got me going. Those were the people who got me up to speed. There are more people, too numerous to count, that got me into this, kept me going. And the community, it's the people that have kept me here. So, no, I've never wanted to leave the CNC world. I've never gotten tired of this. I've never gotten tired of you. Um, if anything, I spend too much time with it and too much time on it. But I love it, and I'm not going to give it up. I love it. I'm not going to give it up. So, and in fact, it's VistaSculpt has opened another door for me in that I really want to get in there and dig into it. I've just got to set aside the time to learn it better. And with VistaSculpt software, I'm seeing another uh, series of videos in my head because I'm seeing the same questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? Well, if I know, I'll do a video on it. So you might look forward to a Vistasculpt for the absolute beginner video series, because I mean, there have been a lot of software packages that have come out and said, you can do this and you can do that and you can do the others. When it comes to 3D models, I think they all fall flat on their face. Vistasculpt is truly wow. I mean, I've only been involved in this since 2015. So that's 10 years. I'm not an expert, but I don't impress easy. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. So if you guys are still out there in the chat from Vistasculpt, I'm impressed. This is serious stuff, and you guys have done a hell of a job. So keep it up. um, did you put a hold on your rotary? I put a hold on everything. Um, not on purpose. Totally against my will. I've been talking about it for several months now. And in fact, let me check to make sure. Um, okay. Um, in April, I came down with shingles. You've heard me preach about this, but it is the case. Today is day 94 of shingles. And that's why I've been hollering about, if you're over 50 and you have had chicken pox, get the shingles vaccine. You don't want this. I thought it was just a mild rash, or a painful rash. The rash was nothing. It manifested itself in me on the nerve that branches off of C5, comes up into my shoulder, and then comes down into my bicep, deep inside by the bone, then comes along the top. Get it in the, there we go, the top of my forearm, and then down into my entire hand, mainly my thumb and index finger, but also my other fingers. I am not in control of my right hand, not enough to use power tools. Um, see if I can get it. Yeah, there we go. You can, oh, there we go. You can kind of see what's going on here with the nerves in certain positions. If I'm out like this, it's not too awful bad. Um, I can't run a table saw with this. I can't run the CNC with this. I mean, stuff is moving all over the place. I can't do it. I can't drive. I can't do any of that stuff. So I put everything on hold. Today, again, is day 94. My doctor says we're looking at probably around 6 months. Don't know. It might clear up sooner. I just got past the 90-day mark, and every doctor I've spoken to has said a minimum of 90 days. So I've passed that minimum. Now we got to get to where it's better. Um, don't know. I do know where that came from. Anyway, I got into making YouTube videos seriously in 2018. Then I found out you could monetize and you could actually make money doing this. So I thought, okay, cool. I had 400 subscribers at the time. This was before, I'm trying to remember what they call the adpocalypse, they called it. So I had like 400 subscribers. I monetized. Anybody could monetize at that time. If you had one subscriber, you could monetize. So I did. And I said, can I make this pay for itself? That's that was my goal. That is still my goal. Um, and that's where that journey started. But that motivated me to keep going. And I remember I got my first check from YouTube. YouTube has this, or Google has this threshold. You have to make $100. And it took me 4 months to get that $100. Then they sent me the first check. It was direct deposited, but I got my first check. Oh man, it was bust out the party hats and confetti time. That was my motivation to keep going. That was my motivation to make a video a week. What I didn't realize was in making a video a week and pushing it out there and pushing myself, I was steady on my way to burnout. And it was about the time that I started building my shop that burnout hit hard. I just could not do one a week. So I backed off to every other week. Then I backed off to one a month. Then this hit, and I haven't posted a video since March. So here it is. That's where we are today. But again, with these live streams, these live Q&As every Sunday, where I'm serious, you can ask me any question, general CNC question or Vectric software question, and any Vistasculpt question, but please understand that I have the pro version in the house on the computer that I design with, but I'm using the demo version out here because you can currently Vistasculpt is locked to your hardware. So that's my first tip. When you download and install Vistasculpt, if you do uh, decide to use it, make sure you do that on the computer that you do your design work on. Because out here I'm using my demo mode. So with it being locked to the hardware, my design computer's in the house, that's where I have the pro version. Out here I'm using the demo version. Hopefully that'll change further, a little bit further down the road. Or at least maybe they'll offer for instance, a second license for this computer for, say $50, something like that. I'd pay $50 for a second license for this computer in here as a pro member on the other computer. Anyway, Maurice says that's exactly what happened to me. Burnout is real. It happens. What's the worst is you still have the drive and will to make and post, but moving an inch forward feels like a mile. It can. It can. Um, you you get into that space where you don't want to even touch it anymore, simply because it takes 3 times as long to do a project when you're shooting every aspect of it from every angle. So what you have to do is learn how to streamline that process. There's a reason I have a can't, well, you can't see it now. Where'd I move it to? No, you can't. Well, you can just barely see it right there. That's why I have a track on my ceiling and I have a camera mounted because it can get the shots I can't. And I don't have to worry about it. Things like that. But it's that grind. But you can do that as far as anything is concerned. Um, if you've got a job, you can put so much into that job that it becomes a grind. You can, if, any hobby, the minute it starts to take over, it becomes that grind and you're susceptible to burnout. So, yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. I have kind of gotten myself out of that. So it's not too awful bad, but you know, You can still get susceptible. So anyway, I hope that I have kind of shared with you a little bit about my history, what got me going, what keeps me going, and why I still do what I do. The number one reason why I still do this is because I enjoy it. I genuinely do. I have fun with it. It's I don't know, to me, and this is going to sound goofy, but what the hell, I sound goofy anyway. Um, I what the heck? I'm trying to think of a way to put it. Don't get old. It makes words go, you know, right out the window. Words are hard sometimes. I don't even remember what I was going to say. Never mind, doesn't matter. All right, let's take a look at it here. See what we got going. Um, Ellen says burnout is real. I go fish. You go fishing anyway. You go fishing anyway. You go fishing because today ends with a Y. You can't blame it on burnout. So, um, yeah, you gotta get it. Okay, I remember where I was going with this. Um, I genuinely enjoy this, is what I was getting ready to say. Years ago, I got my first 8 millimeter movie camera, 8 millimeter film camera when I was 8 years old. Got it for Christmas. And I always wanted to be a filmmaker. And I was just getting into 16 millimeter when VHS video, the VHS and beta video came out. So we're talking in 70s, late 70s, early 80s. It's when they first started getting cheap enough to where home, you can buy one in the home. And that just kind of made the bottom drop out of the film market. Everybody jumped on uh, videotape. And I was just in the process of making the format shift from 8 millimeter to 16 millimeter when all of a sudden everybody was making this shift over to videotape, and changing over to that format was expensive. The first VCR I bought was in 1983, and it was $750. And at that time, I wasn't making that much a month. I was in the Army, and I didn't make that much money a month. So I saved up and I bought a VCR. This is It didn't even have a wireless remote. That wasn't a thing yet. It had a remote you plugged in, then you had a 20-foot cable. Little thin one, but a cable nonetheless. And that was your remote. And the format was just too expensive for me to get into, so that went out the window. Couldn't do that. I wanted to be on the radio. I wanted to be a radio DJ. Before, I didn't have a radio voice. I had the face for radio, but I didn't have a radio voice. So that was kind of out the window. I've always enjoyed the editing process. Um, the editing process to me was part of the fun. And I go back to Super 8 and 8 millimeter film where you had the little screen with the two reels that you wound by hand, found where you wanted to make the edit, and you physically cut the film, then whizzed it past to where you wanted the edit to end, cut the film again, and then you had splicing tape that had sprocket holes in it. that the sprocket holes that ran alongside the film, and you taped it all together. And audio was uh-oh. Audio's going bad. Is in my back? Hmm. Is my audio back? Somebody, anybody? It'll take a few seconds to get a reply. Or am I still glitching? Okay, I'm back. All right, terrific. Okay. So then you would get your finished edit, then you would spin all, reel all that up, and you would shoot it off to another film processor because local processors wouldn't do it. And they would make a print, they would make a copy of your film, and that's what you would show. You took the other film and you put it away in a safe place. Um, I loved that process. Then at years advance, I was introduced to the PC and AutoCAD the same week in 1997, and I was hooked. I've since forgotten more about AutoCAD than I ever learned. And when I got in, I discovered digital editing, and I thought this is easy. Digital editing is so easy. But I'm getting to do what I wanted to do back when I was a kid. I may not be on radio, no big deal. I do a weekly podcast with a friend of mine down in Miami. That settles my radio brain. But I get to make videos and edit videos. And then I come in here into the live streams and I yak with y'all. This is fun to me. Believe me, Windows Movie Maker. That was what I used at the very beginning, and I had that software down pat. You can still go download it, and you can still use it. It's just slow as hell, and really, really basic because they stopped supporting it in 2012. That's what forced me into other software. Um, but I knew it was basic. I didn't like that it was so basic. So the next video editing software I got was ULead Video Studio, and I used that until Corel bought it, and now I use Corel Video Studio. What does Linda think of all of this? You'll have to ask her. I'm sure she's in the chat. She's listening anyway, probably knitting, and I can hear her screaming already. Let me finish this row. From what I understand, she loves it because I'm happy. You know, I had AOL. I had AOL up until 2011. Yeah, I know about AOL. Um, from everything Linda's told me, she's happy with all this because I'm happy. You know, she knows where me and my money are. I mean, they're right out here. So, and I mean, the house is 20 feet away. So, Linda loves it. Keeps him out of my hair. There's a sign I've got to make for Linda. Um, but I got to modify it. The saying goes, um, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for the rest of his life. Linda modified that to give a man a fish, you feed him for the day. Teach a man to fish, he'll leave you alone so you can knit. Problem is, she likes to fish same as I do. So that's no longer valid. So I'm going to have to modify that to um, give a man a CNC. No, that doesn't work. Give a man a CNC, he'll leave you alone so you can knit. So No, she doesn't use a CNC. She's not interested in editing. She's not interested in any of the things that I do. She's not interested. The only thing she's interested in is the fact that we're both very happy. And that brings me to today. Um, today, I say it to Linda and I were talking about it the other day. In fact, we were talking about it last night. I have absolutely, absolutely no complaints. I have nothing to complain about. I am very happy. I am very content. There literally are no complaints. Um, am I rich? No. Do I want to be? Probably not. I don't want the responsibility that comes with a lot of money. Um, am I famous? Nope. Don't want to be. Want to be able to go anywhere I want to, anytime I want to, and not have to worry about it, anything. Um, sure, there's always going to be something shiny off there that I want. But also, you know, a lot of that stuff I just don't want anymore. I'm 64 years old. And do I want a car project? If I was 30, yeah, I'd love to have built up a hot rod. Um, do I want a boat? If I was 30, I'd love to have a boat to go out on the lake with. But now to me, that just looks like too much work. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't even change my own oil. How am I going to rebuild an engine? It just looks like too much of a pain in the rear end. This, however, and this with y'all and making videos, that's fun to me. That's not work. So, I'm chomping at the bit. I cannot wait to get back to any of this. John Thompson says wanting things keeps you invested in life. Yes, and that's why I want your Dodge Coronet. He's got a beautiful gold 65 Dodge Coronet convertible, white interior. Oh, I drool over that thing. I keep telling him I'm going to come up there and steal it from him, but I know he's got a guard on it. I would never get past his dog. Anyhow, that's neither here nor there. If there's anything that I envy, it's his cars, because I would cruise the tires off of them, then go buy new tires and cruise it some more. Anyway, it's an ongoing thing. It's an evolving thing. Um, I didn't get a chance to. It went by too fast. I believe it was 8 Center. Somebody said, video wise, you've pretty much done everything. To a point, yes. To another point, there's always new people. I have a huge catalog of videos. There are over 700 videos and live streams on my channel. Thank God YouTube divided them. So now you have the video tab and you have the live tab. So you have to click live to go back and look through the live streams, click video to go back and look through my videos. Almost everything in that catalog of videos. The Vectric for the Absolute Beginner series was 50 videos by itself. Some of those videos are no longer relevant because the software has changed over the years and the steps it took to get from point A to point B have changed because the software has improved. So with these software improvements, I've had to go back and redo some of these videos. And that's what's inspired me to start the Vectric version 12 Plus for the absolute beginner, because that series incorporates all these changes. Now we're up to 12.5. Changes from 12.0 to 12.5, although subtle, are there. And what I said about working in the 3D view 6 months ago is no longer accurate. So with the software forever evolving, I have to evolve with it. And if that means doing a new series, then I'll do it. Obviously, if it hasn't changed, I'll refer to an older video. Not only that, there are a lot of people who are still using the older versions. They can follow along with the new version of the software, but they can't do the same thing. So let me get in here and see. You folks have posted a few questions. Let me get in here and see if I've got them. Okay. David, Vortex 8, says, I'm going to use a 1/4-inch compression bit on a project. Would like to try to use a chip load calculator. Any tips / I need help? No, I got no tips for you because I cheated. I found the recommended feeds and speeds for and talked to people about what they did, what their feeds and speeds were for their compression bit, and I used those. Specifically, I talked to Cody at Cadence Manufacturing because the first compression bit I got was his Jenny bit, and part number 8675309. If you know, you know. And I've stuck with those. I've not used a chip load calculator. I probably should, but I just haven't. So I got no tips for you, David. If anybody out there, if you have tips to help David out as far as using a chip load calculator for his compression bit, please put them in the chat. Help a brother out. So, Chuck Freed. Oops, I just screwed that up. Oh man, I have to go back and find your question. That was way up at the top too. Oh man. Chuck, I apologize. You were asking questions about an inlay. Now I gotta go find it again. Oh man, come on. Hope it didn't. There it is. I'm having trouble with an inlay. I did a practice cut and it cut away 3/4-inch plywood. My first question to you is, where did you set your Z0? If you told Vectric that you were setting your Z0 to the material surface, then you set your Z0 on the machine bed when you got outside on the machine. Let's see, that's probably what happened. Or if I got that backwards. If you told it you were going to set it on the machine bed and you accidentally set it to the material surface, it would be carving above your material and never touch it. If you told it you were going to set your Z0 on your material and you set it on the machine bed, it took that as a start point and just cut right down through it. The other thing to look at is when you did when you calculated your tool path, what did you have for a start depth? And what did you have as your flat depth? Because if you got your Z0s correct, it could have been a start depth problem, or It could have been not using a flat depth. If you have a large area and you're using, let's say, a 60-degree V bit, okay? It can set up a situation where, without a flat depth, it can set up a situation where, in order to get that V carving done, the bit would have to go through the material. So look at what you set your start depth at, and are you using a flat depth? Without that flat depth, you can set up a situation where the bit will need to go all the way through the material to successfully make the V carve that you're looking at. So those three things: look at where you set your Z0 in the software and outside on the machine. Look at your start depth and look at a flat depth. Now, a little bit more on a flat depth. A flat depth will not force a bit to cut deeper. A flat depth is a limit. It restricts the bit from cutting any deeper. Okay? So, I hope that helps. But those are the top three reasons I could think of to get the result that you got. Check those three things. Eighth Center says some people say to wait on the compression bit until you rough cut first, but I think it's better to start with the compression bit than add a final pass. To each their own, I think, though. Now, I have a question about that, Eighth Center. If you have to do a rough cut before you use the compression bit, why use the compression bit at all? That makes no sense to me to do a rough cut. The whole purpose of a compression bit is to be able to cut as deeply as possible in one pass. For instance, my Avid CNC with the 4-horse spindle, I can cut 3/4 inch plywood in one pass. A compression bit just gives me clean top and bottom cuts. Here's my opinion. If you are doing a rough cut profile, for instance, before you put the compression bit in, you're wasting your time with the compression bit. If you're going to do that, which is going to require its tool change, no matter what you do, if you're going to do that, start with a downcut bit until you get halfway through, do a tool change, finish with a upcut bit. Because to do a rough cut makes no sense to me. Why bother with the compression bit? I don't get it. I really don't get it. So anyway, let's see. Marie at Acrylic Design says flat depth is the farthest the bit will go down. Yes, that is the flat depth is a limit to how deep the bit will go. So if you set, for instance, a flat depth of 0.1, the bit will go no deeper than 0.1 when it's doing that V carve. So yes, it is a limit. So I think I've covered all the questions. If you asked a question and I didn't get to it, please put it back in the chat, because either it went by too fast for me to see, or something happened, or maybe I cleared it. Martin says a compression bit is really just for profile cutting. Agreed. I wouldn't use one for roughing before a finish pass. I wouldn't either, unless maybe I just broke my last 1/4 inch end mill and that's all I had. It could happen, you know. But getting there, Mark. Yeah, you are. You are. Let's see. You said you like Madra's question. I got to go look and find Madra's question. Um, I need to learn more about offset and kerf for puzzle. My first attempt ended in failure. Eric said design and woodworking. I will be watching your videos. Do. In fact, I'll link him in the description. Maurice is amazing. He doesn't think so, but he's amazing. Go back and look at. We did a series on cribbage boards, Ellen. Ellen, that's Madra 3212. Her name is Ellen. We did a series on cribbage boards. Go look at his cribbage boards. Oh my, what the what? Yeah, yeah. I think that was the one you were talking about. I don't see any other questions from Ellen. Okay, Ray Russell, check your email. Sent you a photo of the pickings from my garden today. Okay. We're going blackberry picking after we get done with this. And what that means is blackberry. When I say we're going blackberry picking, that means that I'm going to hold the bucket because I don't climb no more. I'm not getting up on the step ladder or the work platform. I can't do that. Not on the pain meds I'm on. Uh, Man, Steve, shaboom! Thank you very much. Thank you. There's a link to Maurice's channel, Erickson Design and Woodworking. But I will put a link. I'll put it in a pinned comment. Let's see. So I got to write this down before I forget. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me write that down. That was Maurice and Dave Gatton. All right. So I'll put those two links down in the description as soon as we're done here. Man, I got router bits stacked all over the place. Speaking of router bits, I got some 1/8 inch router bits. Pretty cool for an upcoming project. Then I got some 1/16 inch router bits. Very cool. And then I thought I was ordering some other 1/16 inch router bits, and I wasn't. What I got was 1mm router bits. Can you see that in there? That doesn't give you any kind of scale. That's a 1/16 of an inch router bit. Looks humongous. That's an 1/8 inch router bit. I got 5 of these now. I thought I was ordering more 1/16 of an inch router bits. I thought I was ordering 1/16 inch downcuts. We're going to experiment. But none of that's going to happen until I get back into the swing here. All right. See where I've gone, where I came from, what I'm doing now. Future. The future of me with CNC, I don't see it ending. I don't see an end to this. I'm going to continue with CNC as long as I'm able to physically. I've got so many projects in my brain. I'm going to have to start giving away some of these project ideas because there's no way I'm going to get to all of them. I've got so many things I want to do. Yes, more 3D, more 2D, more weird materials, more strange, goofy materials. One of the things I want to do, I want to get Linda to get into her cheap acrylic yarn that she hates, and or some scrap wool that she just doesn't like, and knit up a big swatch, and then I'm going to felt it down, and I'm going to embed it in epoxy, and then I'm going to carve it. So there's one idea. I want to take a uh, uh, I want to take an old pair of blue jeans and cut it into pieces. I don't have that mold here right now. I've got a mold that's got a 5x7 piece in it, 1 inch deep, and I want to cut pieces of denim from blue jeans to fit down in that mold, and just pack it full, and then saturate everything in epoxy. And I want to carve that. I want to do all kinds of stuff. Let's see here. 2D and epoxy? Yes. Let's see here. What was the wood you used for the pirate? Leopard wood. Leopard wood, which is similar in appearance to lace wood, except leopard wood is darker. Now, Robert, this is the second time you've asked how to empty what? I don't know what you're asking. How to empty what? Please put it all in there. And I have a pressure pot. Yeehaw. I don't have a pressure pot, Martin. I have the pressure pot. I really overdid it when I bought this pressure pot. I can almost bathe in it. It's 18-inch diameter on the inside internal dimension. And brother, is it, again, I can almost bathe in it. I want to do a lot. Okay, Ray Dixon has a question. When I freehand draw, the crosshair that I follow does not align with the drawing I'm tracing. Is there a way to get the place of crosshair closer to the place the actual drawing is taking place on the screen? Yes. Let me bring up VCarve, and I should have done this before. Let's share screen. Shaboom. All right, and we'll spotlight. Okay. What Ray's talking about is up here. Come on, click in the VCarve, the freehand drawing tool. All right. Now, I've got my crosshair here, and I'm just cruising. See how far behind that line is forming behind the crosshair. Ray is asking, is there a way to get that closer? And there is. End vector at cursor. It's not quite the way. Where was the other here? Smoothness. No, that's not it. There is a way, Ray. Stabilize. There is a way, and I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what it was. This is going to drive me crazy. Because, Ray, there is a way to do it. You see where the crosshair is now? The uh, the line, you think it, is it? I think it changes cursor length by zoom. Let's go in and see if this is proportional. Well, that's a little better. But you shouldn't have to zoom in that much. Know what I'm saying? Now, okay, Rich Bratcher is saying move smoothness left. Oh, really? And that brings it up into there? No, it's not really any closer. Let me zoom out because I was zoomed way in there. Man, I was zoomed way in. Now you're still dragging the line way behind the cursor. So it's you're technically Martin says maybe something in the settings. I know there's a way, Martin, or I thought there was a way. But what you're actually doing, you see that circle behind the crosshair. You're actually drawing from the center of that circle. Okay? You're actually drawing from the center of that circle, not from the crosshair. You're just kind of leading it along. Right? Maybe I'm wrong. I thought there was a way to bring that in on these sliders. But it appears, there it isn't. There it is. It's the stabilize, not the smoothness. There it is. Stabilize all the way to the left, Ray. That's what it is. Now you see you're drawing right on the crosshairs, even when you zoomed in real close. It's stabilized. Man. So, end vector at cursor is something I use because when I want to end the vector right here, I want to end the vector right here where my cursor is placed. I let go, that's where the vector ends. That's what I want. Thank you, Brooks. That's not the first time you've saved my bacon. Again, a lot of folks have commented on the blue color. That is an option here as you go into the edit menu. You come down into options, click on options. You scroll down into general settings here, general settings. And what you're looking for is theme. You can see right now I have the blue theme. I can click in here. This is a drop down menu. I can go back to the default if I want to. And that takes me back. Okay, I have to restart the software to go back to these color scheme. No, I don't want to do that. So edit, options, back down to general settings, theme. I'll go with the blue theme. Click apply. Okay. And now I've got the blue theme. So, and I'm also asked about align objects out here. Go to align selected objects right here. And then all the way down at the bottom, show common tools on the design tab is check marked. So I'll click close and there they are. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and we'll say, did that answer your question, Ray? Ray says try tracing a circle. Okay. Let's see here. Let me get all of this out of here and delete. And I don't care. Let's see what is. Now I want diameter of the circle to be, what size have I got here? Man, this is a big chunk of material. 10-inch. Create. Close. Okay, I'm immediately going to put this on another layer so we have two different colors here. Move to layer, new layer. We'll just call it layer 2, but I'm going to change the color to red. I don't want it to be active, but I do want it to be visible. Click OK. Layer 1 is my active layer. Okay. Now we'll go to freehand draw, stabilize all the way to the left, smooth this all the way to the right, end vector at cursor, and we'll start right here. And because I'm crap with tracing, oh, look at the stabilization I need. Let me zoom in. Oh my God, that's awful. This is why, see, this is why I don't do this. I'm hip, Martin. I'm just following the question. Man, I'm terrible at this. And especially with this, oh, quit. I just right clicked. I didn't mean to. All right, I'm out of there. All right. Yeah. Anyhow. Well, it's even worse when you don't have control of your dominant hand, Marie. So no, it's not as easy as it looks. Some people make it that easy, make it look that easy, Michael. But Bob Helt Bridal, Watch Blacktail Studio. He does a denim epoxy table. It has the appearance of Damascus steel. It looks pretty cool. I've been wanting to try it for a while. We're going to see. There's all kinds of stuff I've wanted to do. I just don't have the time. So anybody wants to take that and run with it, go for it. I've often thought that making micarta out of denim would make real cool knife scales. I'm not a knife maker, but that doesn't mean I don't want to try it, you know. All right. This is quickly becoming goofus. Alan Williamson says, Mark, I have a guest suggestion. Steve at Harneal Media. We don't talk about that, Alan. We don't talk about that. Steve broke YouTube once. Steve's going to get mad at me for talking about this, but what the heck? We'll get into it. My podcast partner, Eloy Escojedo, he used to have a show on his YouTube channel that he ran. Was that a monthly? Maybe it was a weekly show. It was called the Mad Maker Show. And he would invite a guest on, a maker in the maker community, and just interview them. And they would talk about anything from music to philosophy, but always from a maker's mindset. And he decided he was going to end that show, and his last guest was going to be Steve. And we got about, what was it, Steve? I was his co-host, his guest co-host. And we got maybe 10 minutes into that show, and YouTube had a major outage. servers crashed. I don't know what went on. I really don't remember, but it was a major thing. This is several years back. YouTube was just down. It was down worldwide. And it was all because we had Steve on as a guest. Well, we blamed it on him anyway, but I don't know. Is that something that you want to see? You want me to get Steve on? I'll get Steve on if he wants to come. Um, that was a long time ago, doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, you got to get that out of your mindset, there, 8 Center. Remember, anything on the internet stays on the internet. Somebody has a record of it somewhere. It's not like when you and I were growing up where there were no cameras. It was, it was all plausible deniability. The, not everybody in the world had a camera right there in their hand. And it was a great time to grow up because if there's no evidence of it, I didn't do it. So, okay, I'll talk to Steve. He may or may not want to come on if he can take the time. I mean, Steve is a busy guy. I really don't know how he does what he does. I don't know if he sleeps right there in his chair. I don't know if he sleeps. But he works a full-time job with Harneal Media, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So he um, he earns that monthly payment. Believe me. So I'll talk to him, and if he wants to come on, I'll bring him on. But that's 100% up to him. And just simply put, Steve doesn't like to be in front of the camera, and I don't blame him. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap this up. An hour and 45 minutes. Holy cow. Uh, channel members. Butch. Just remember, guilty and convicted are not the same thing. Yeah, I have that embroidered on a pillow. That I never mind. Um, no, I don't, but maybe I should. Linda's back there going, No. Anyway, this is getting way out of hand. Channel members, tomorrow we take a foray into layered projects. We're going to do 2 types. We're going to look at 2 types. We're going to look at the shadow box layered project. Told you. And we're going to look at fretwork type layered projects. Sounds mystical right now. I've got great examples. You'll see what I mean. That, along with your project photos, things that you have shared with me over the course of the week. That, again, is on the members only side. YouTube keeps changing the names of things. So now where it used to be the community tab, it's no longer the community tab. Then it was the membership tab. It's no longer the membership tab. It's now the posts tab. Some of you might still be seeing membership. Just check it. That's where you're going to find the link to tomorrow's members only live stream, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern, right here on this YouTube channel. If you're not a member or you don't know what the heck I'm even talking about, the way you can check it out is go right there below this video panel, right down there somewhere. I'm never sure because I keep moving it. You'll see the word join. That's a link. Just about every word on a YouTube page is a link to something. Click that little join button. Now, you're not joining anything at that point. What's going to happen is another video panel is going to pop up, and that video is going to play and tell you all about channel memberships. And then you can decide from there. Now, this is just me talking here. Everybody you see out here in the chat who has that star next to their name and their name is in green text, they are channel members. We have a great group of people, a fantastic bunch of people that not an ego amongst them, and they're all 100% dedicated to making one another succeed. We'd love to have you join us. Click that join button and check it out. What are we going to do next week? I have absolutely no idea. I'm going to try again to get a video out. We'll see what happens. If not, it'll be an open Q&A. I want to thank you very much for joining me on Sunday and let me bloviate about myself. And I just want to say that without making this maudlin or anything like that, the reason I keep doing this is because of y'all. I mean, I'm having an absolute blast doing this. I laugh, I learn, and I just enjoy the community that you folks have built up and that you folks have allowed me to be a part of. A lot of people say thank you for what I do for the community, but you are the community. Thank you for what you do for me, because without you, there's no reason for me to be here. Again, I'm not special. I'm not anybody that I don't have any abilities that you don't have. Just maybe you haven't tried yet. So, if I could leave you with anything, remember the old cliche is when there's a will, there's a way. And I will just echo that by saying if you want to, you can. If you don't want to, nobody can force you. So, thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me. I truly appreciate it. And thank you again to Maurice over at Erickson Design and Woodworking, Sargon Tavor, my friend, and to Alan Williamson, my friend. Thank you so much, all of y'all. And thank you, everybody else. Y'all take care. Members, see you tomorrow.